A woman shouldn't have to beg for attention from her own man, my fiancé wrote on social media. I said, "You won't have to anymore," and called off the wedding when I was working extra shifts to pay for it. In a panic, her entire family called me. In 3 months, I, a 28-year-old man, was to tie the knot. T-word should. After 4 years of dating, Andrea and I got engaged. She had this entire Pinterest board and insisted that it was our special day, even though the wedding was going to cost us $35,000, which is absurd in retrospect. The cost of the flowers was offered by her parents. That's all. I was taking care of the rest because my parents are retired and receive a fixed income. For 8 months, I had been working double shifts. After working a regular job throughout the day, I typically drive for Uber until 2 a.m. I started taking up catering jobs on the weekends. Even though I was worn out, I kept telling myself it would be worthwhile every time I saw the ring on her finger. I reasoned that we could finish the remaining balance with a final push in the last month, perhaps with a small loan for which I was pre-approved. When my ramen was heating up 2 weeks ago, I was in the office break room, completely exhausted, looking through Facebook. It displays Andrea's post. It shouldn't be necessary for a woman to plead with her own man for attention. He would if he so desired. Hashion is aware of your value. Her friends agreed, called males trash, and said she deserved more in 15 comments and 47 likes. I spent a full minute looking at my phone. I typed, "You won't have to anymore." After that, I hit enter, turned my phone to silent, and resumed my job. I had 142 text messages and 73 missed calls at the end of my shift. My voicemail was overflowing. My friends, her parents, her sister, her friends, and others I hadn't spoken to since high school. My phone was being blown up by everyone. None of them were answered by me. Rather, I took action that I ought to have taken months before. I reviewed the account for our combined wedding. Both of us had been making deposits there. However, 5 months ago, her deposit ceased. She was ecstatic when she received the promotion because it came with a small rise that would be very helpful for the wedding. I made a $22,000 deposit. She made a $3,500 deposit. Here's the problem, though. There were recent withdrawals from the account. Here, $300. There, $450. Numbers should always be rounded. Always make an ATM withdrawal or Venmo transfer. $4,200 has been spent in the past 3 months. She had been overspending on her expenses. I took screenshots of everything. I then began placing calls. The venue can lead. 60% was returned since they were pleased to reschedule my date due to their lengthy wait list. The photographer canceled. Total reimbursement since he fully understood and was a buddy of a friend. The caterer, florist, and DJ were all canceled. Not all refunds are given. I received roughly $14,000 of my $22,000 back in total. I proceeded to our flat after that. We've lived together for 2 years, but she claimed that the only reason the lease was in my name was because her student loan credit had taken a nosedive. I carefully and neatly packed her belongings. Her pricey makeup, her fancy handbags that she purchased at a discount, and her grandmother's china. Everything was placed in boxes. At 11 p.m., Andrea arrived home. According to her Instagram stories, she had been at her friend Megan's house, sobbing, sipping wine, and receiving consolation. When she entered, she noticed the boxes. "How on earth is this? Your belongings? Are you being serious now?" Over a post on Facebook. All I was doing was venting. "No, I'm killing myself to pay for your ideal wedding, and you're publicly disparaging me. The wedding to which you have donated $700. Her face turned pale. "Have you reviewed the account?" "Andrea, it's my money. Funds for our nuptials. Examine the statements. What happened to your portion of our money?" She broke down in tears, not crying with sadness, weeping with anger. "You have no idea how much strain I'm under. Due to the fact that I labor to support my friends' ideal marriages and relationships, you are never present anymore. Perhaps you wouldn't need to work as hard if your income were higher. It was there. The mask is falling off. Leave. I can't be kicked out. This is where I reside. You don't have a lease. Legally, you have 30 days, but I packed your belongings to make things easier. I take it that Megan has a couch? She referred to me by all the names in the book. Claimed that I was domineering and abusive and that I would regret it. That a man who deserts his fiancée due to a social media post is not someone anyone wants. I gave in to her tirade. The wedding is off, I then declared. I've already taken care of everything. I looked at your email. I sent you all of the confirmations. She really gave me a lunge. I took a step back, took out my phone, and began to record. The harm was done, but she managed to catch herself. Go now or I'll contact the police. You have an option. She went out, slammed the door so forcefully that the neighbors emerged. One update. When I woke up the following morning, I saw that I had been widely ridiculed on social media. Andrea shared this heartbreaking account of how I had abandoned her in the middle of the night and left her without a place to stay. She went to Megan's around 11 o'clock. How I was domineering and financially abusive. How I had cut her off from her family and friends. While I worked, she went out 3 evenings a week. In our circle, the post got semi-viral. In the comments, several of her friends and some people we had in common were labeling me a monster. Then her father called. Gerald practices law. Although he prefers to throw his weight about, he practices corporate law rather than family law. Son, you must put this right. Gerald, I'm not your son. My daughter was humiliated by you. You owe her. I owe her nothing. I'm owed $4,200 by her. What are you talking about, really? I forwarded the bank statements to him along with the spreadsheet I created that contrasted deposits and withdrawals. He paused for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. Andrea and Jesus Christ continue to argue about who is responsible for what. He ended the call. This is where things start to get intriguing, though. Alice, Andrea's buddy, sent me a private message. Hey, you should know something, even though I know you probably despise me at the moment. It wasn't a promotion that Andrea received. A departmental reorganization took place. She has been deceiving everyone. And I believe I understand the purpose of those ATM withdrawals. She went out all the time. She then forwarded me a number of screen grabs from the Instagram account of a man named Ethan, a completely gay coworker. Storyteller, he wasn't. Andrea always had an excuse, such as that he was shy or that our schedules didn't coincide, so I had never met him. Alice had been following him for some time, even though the profile was secret. The photos featured lavish dinners with Bae, with her face hidden but her designer handbag visible. Concert tickets to the band she claimed to have seen with her sister. A weekend getaway to Miami while she was purportedly attending a business conference. And a men's watch that bore a striking resemblance to the one she gave me for my birthday but misplaced during transit. Each date on the posts corresponded to a withdrawal made from our account using an ATM. I created a new spreadsheet with Ethan's posts, dates, and quantities. There was no denying the correlation. I then took a small action. I came to Andrea's initial post, the one in which she called me out, and I responded to one of her friends who was disparaging me in the comments section. You're correct. She certainly deserves better, and it appears that she has found it. She took $4,200 out of our wedding money for their dates. Ask her about Ethan and that. Ethan's profile was deleted within an hour, and my phone began to ring once more. Andrea used Megan's phone to make the call. You were not entitled. Public knowledge and feedback. Ethan is merely a companion. Friends don't go on covert dates that cost $4,200 and are paid for by their fiancé. That wasn't the case. What was it like then? Quiet. Then you didn't exist. You were constantly busy, exhausted, or trying to afford your wedding. My wedding wasn't the only one. Describe one aspect of the wedding that I chose. Just one thing. More quiet. The venue, the date, the cake flavor, the color of the napkins, and the song for our first dance. For heaven's sake, you wanted to include Ethan on the guest list. Named one item that I selected. She ended the call. The second update. Her mother called 3 days later. In order to resolve this as an adult family, Doris wanted to call a meeting. She recommended a Starbucks close to their home as a neutral venue. I brought printouts, bank statements, and screenshots of Ethan's posts that Alice had forwarded to me when I arrived. All of it in a tidy folder. Andrea was present together with her sister and dad. Her hair was untidy, her eyes were swollen, and she was wearing sweatpants. The family was in the middle of a crisis. Doris began. Our goal is to discover a way ahead. Andrea committed a few errors. Errors? I opened the folder. This is a dishonest pattern. Avoid being theatrical. Jean, her sister, interrupted. Everybody experiences difficult times. Using wedding money to date another man is not synonymous with rough periods. He wasn't my partner. Andrea screamed. Then what do you call vacations, concerts, and dinners totaling $4,200? Gerald cleared his throat, his lawyerly tone giving way to a tired one. Now what has been done is done. What is required to put this right? A time machine. Take it seriously. Yes, I am. After publicly humiliating me, stealing from me, and cheating on me, your daughter attempted to portray me as an abuser. What does it look like to make this right, in your opinion? Doris took a checkbook out. What if we give the $4,200 back? The money is no longer the main concern. What is it about, then? Jean insisted. I turned to face Andrea. Really? Examined her. Inform them of your promotion. Her face turned pallid. How about it? Gerald inquired. Inform them or I shall. Andrea's gaze was fixed on the table. I didn't receive a promotion. I was transferred to a new division. The move was lateral. I added performance difficulties with a wage cut. Correct? She gave a nod. Gerald's cheeks flushed. You informed us. I am aware of what I said. Andrea snatched. I felt ashamed. All right. Everyone constantly inquiring about when we plan to buy a home, have children, and so on. I was unable to inform you. I was demoted. Instead, you deducted from your wedding fund? Horrified, Doris asked. I wasn't stealing. I intended to replace it. When? I inquired. How much money? Quiet. I said, getting to my feet. This is what's going to happen. Andrea has another 27 days to remove her belongings from my flat. Our phone plans, Netflix, and everything else have already been split apart. The wedding has been called off. I've been financially impacted by that. We're finished. No working it out, no reconciliation, and no second chances. Completed. You cannot just, Jean began. I am and I can. And I'll consider requesting a restraining order if any of you persist in harassing me, whether it be through social media or another means. You ought to know better, Gerald. Gerald gave a long, exhausted nod. Jean, he's within his rights. I started to walk away, then paused. Andrea's Facebook post on not pleading for attention. 2. You were correct. There's no need for you to beg. I shouldn't either. The distinction is that I was too preoccupied to realize I was being played. The third update. 3 weeks have passed. On day 26, Andrea moved out, just below the wire. Sent her brother to retrieve her remaining belongings. Didn't even attempt to get in touch with me. After a few individuals who were aware of the true event began to speak out in private, the social media frenzy subsided. There were others who shared Alice's suspicions but chose not to become engaged. I appreciate that, guys. I resumed my regular job schedule. It's strange how your mental health improves when you don't destroy yourself doing double shifts. Who could have known? However, this is the plot twist that neither I nor anyone else anticipated. I received a message on LinkedIn last week from someone I didn't know. Aunt Teeth, a senior recruiter at a software company I applied to months prior, before my life was occupied by wedding preparations. Hello. I realize this is not customary. However, through a mutual connection, I found your resume once more. I'm contacting you since your background is exactly what we're searching for, and we have an opening that might be of interest to you. Are you willing to have a discussion? Alice turned out to be a shared connection. After everything fell through without telling me, she shared my resume with some acquaintances who work in human resources at a different company in the hopes of helping me. In any case, I was interviewed. I've never had a better interview. The position would offer remote work choices, a 40% wage rise, and true work-life balance. Next week is my second interview, but I feel hopeful for the first time in a year. In the meantime, people converse in the small city through the grapevine. I've heard that Ethan and Andrea are now formally together. After only 3 weeks, they moved in together. Her parents are embarrassed. Ethan's lease was apparently up anyhow, and dividing the rent was less expensive than paying it separately. How sentimental. Last week, Gerald emailed me. In any case, you were spared a gunshot. I apologize for my role in condoning her actions. I wish you luck in the future. I didn't answer. What could be said? Last night, Jean attempted to add me on Instagram. According to her bio, Auntie will arrive in late 2025. There you have it. I'll never know if Andrea was aware during our family gathering. No longer give a damn. Blocked her nevertheless. This Saturday would have been the wedding day. Instead, I'm using some of the vendor money that was reimbursed to go on a solo trip. Just a cabin in the mountains, nothing spectacular. Perhaps go trekking. Maybe just 3 days of nonstop sleep. I haven't used my phone since yesterday. It's pleasant. Additionally, the Facebook post that sparked it all still has 234 comments, the majority of which are drama from the previous few weeks. However, only the memories are left because Andrea's account has been cancelled. I received a screenshot of it with the comment, "This aged like milk." I chuckled before completely deleting Facebook. The best choice I've made in a long time. Second best, I guess. Typing "you won't have to anymore" was the first step. Edit, because someone inquired, "Yeah, I'm currently receiving therapy." Began 2 weeks ago. It turns out that there are some wounds from working yourself to death for someone who is deliberately betraying you. Who would have guessed? Furthermore, I have no regrets about my handling of it. Could I have exhibited greater maturity? Perhaps. However, I was surviving on coffee from the petrol station, betrayal, and lack of sleep. I used what I had to the best of my ability. It's not worth it. Everyone who says I should sue for the money. I would have to pay more for solicitors than I would get back. Sometimes you simply accept the loss and go on. A note to the rest of the Ethan team as well. Cheating is cheating. He was aware that she was engaged, regardless of whether you are the one in a relationship or actively involved in ending one. Finally, simply talk to your partner or leave if they start sharing passive-aggressive relationship quotes on social media. To be honest, it might be wiser to run.